had a chance to look over the case study?
Yeah, it's actually a really interesting case study, but I just have a quick question. I'm still a bit confused about what is inquiry-based learning and what is like the traditional approach to learning.
It is kind of hard when you're first getting into the inquiry-based learning because we're so used to being, you know, up there and delivering information and teaching kids that way. Whereas with the inquiry-based learning, you really have to be hands-on.
Yeah.
And that's hard for us as teachers because we want to jump in and we want to help and we want to teach. So when I was first starting it out and trying it out, I thought, well, in order for them to actually be able to inquire on their own, they need to learn how to work independently.
For sure.
So it's extremely important from day one, September day one, to foster that independence and to teach kids how to work independently so that when they are engaged in their own learning, you're not going to have kids coming up to you 100 times when you're trying to work with small groups or individuals.
And I mean, your classroom right now, that's a perfect example, right? Like you two are talking and we are talking, the three of us.
Yeah.
And they're all like completely engaged.
And they're buzzing. There's noise, but it's focused conversation. They're helping each other. They're encouraging each other.
And the other thing I noticed, Melanie, in the morning, you were that one of the students that kept coming to, he's getting frustrated with his bill because it's not working, but you still haven't really told him anything. You just keep sending him back with questions.
And it's hard. It's hard because you see the frustration and you see the upset and you just want to go in and you want to just say, oh, just try this. But I know that he will feel so satisfied when he figures it out on his own. So instead of, you know, just saying, go do this, I'll say maybe, well, have you thought about the placement of the wheel and axle? And then I pulled out a moving vehicle, right, to show him. We took the wheels apart and the axle and we looked at the placement. Well, where is it? It's more towards the bottom. So it's kind of pushing, but not directly telling.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, one thing I read too in the case study with this teacher, I think she was having challenges of, or having the challenge of not knowing where to begin.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's hard. I mean, in my opinion, you just gotta let them go.
Yeah.
You just gotta let them go.
And I think you were saying, like, I guess like the first step for anyone to take is to foster independence and just getting them used to working on their own.
Yeah. And there are other, like, more structured ways of doing inquiry. So, I mean, I don't want to throw any under the bus at all, but, you know, if we ask kids, well, ask a question. What question do you have about something? Sometimes they're not sure.
Yeah.
If you ask kids, what are you interested in, they'll tell you. But they may not necessarily have a question that they want answered from that interest. So when we started our inquiry blocks this year, I just let them go.
So that's interesting that it doesn't have to start with a question. And I think that is a challenge for a lot of us where we say, oh, but my kids are not asking effective questions yet, because that's a huge strategy. You have to teach that.
And they may not even know what they want to learn yet.
Yeah.
So, for example, one of the students was really interested in birds. He just wanted to research birds. And then through that just initial investigation, he discovered pigeons eat other birds' eggs.
Oh.
And then that sparked a question. Why?
Okay.
So the questions will come out through their investigation. But I think it's really hard for kids, especially at this age, to form a question first. I mean, I'm not saying no kids can come up with questions. Of course you can. But I don't really think in order to start inquiry, you have to
be questioning. You have to have an interest.
Exactly.
And I think you have to have a habit of mind to kind of, or you have to have the skills that you probably have developed in terms of where to go when you have an interest.
Right.
How do you foster that interest?
And another thing I think was a challenge was finding the curriculum within the inquiry. Well, number one, you have to know the curriculum, right? You need to know what you're looking for. So we're not really learning or studying animals in depth right now. But it doesn't matter because I am pulling out so many pieces of the curriculum through his investigations. He is learning how to summarize information and put it into his own words. That's reading and writing.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not science-based that I'm pulling out right now, but it's a lot of language that I'm pulling out. And the inquiry or the scientific inquiry process, right? And that is in our science curriculum and even in our social studies curriculum as well.
So do you find it will be harder to like assess this kind of a program? Is it easier to assess a traditional program than this program? I don't know.
Perhaps it may be like it's a challenge for us to begin this, but I feel like as we overcome the challenge of just implementing inquiry based, we'll be able to overcome the assessment challenge as well.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely harder to assess if you don't know what you're looking for. And that goes back to knowing the curriculum. Now, like, I don't want anyone to think that, oh, it's just like a free open for all. No, like we're studying simple machines right now, that unit in science. But I didn't come up in front of the class when we started and say, okay, we're learning about simple machines, and these are the six simple machines. No, I put out a provocation, and the provocation were books.
Oh, okay.
Just books that had different simple machines in them, and they had a chance to explore for a period. I literally just spread out the books, and they walked around and looked at the books. Then we came back together as a group, and I asked them questions like, what did you discover in the books? What were some things that were in common? What were similarities? What were differences? And then eventually, well, they're machines, and I read something about a machine and 6 machines. And then from their discoveries, then I know where to focus and hone in on for specific lessons.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and then the next step was, let's identify these. They're really cool. They make work easier. Well, how do they make work easier? So the kids decided that they wanted to become an expert on a particular machine.
Oh, so that's what they're doing today.
Well, this is actually after that.
Oh,
so what they did was they broke up into groups, interest groups, whatever they wanted to learn about, and they just researched and they created posters. So we came up with some criteria for the posters, like what do our posters have to include? Well, we have to know what the machine is, how does it work, where can we find it in our world, and then what we did for fun is instead of having the kids just come up and share their posters, we wanted to embed technology. So I just bought a green tablecloth and I downloaded a green screen app, and they had to present it in a way that they were presenting like a talk show.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and then we watched all the videos. We watched all the talk shows, and that's how, instead of doing a jigsaw or whatever, those type of sharing ideas or techniques, they learned from each other.
So already I can see, like in a traditional classroom, they would probably be presenting and everybody else will be trying to listen.
And I'm not against
that.
but you know what? I think there's a time and a place for everything. And there could be a time and a place for those presentations, but you know, it was fun. It was engaging. They rehearsed. They introduced themselves as news anchors. And we're tying in media there as well.
And it's not like using technology just because we have to, but because it made sense there as a tool to communicate and share.
A real life experience like the talk show.
Exactly. And they even picked their backdrop and everything.
Oh, very interesting.
That's so great. And now, so what you're seeing happening now is kind of the culmination of our investigation. So I basically showed them a picture of a forest and a picture of an amusement park. And I said, the city wants to build an amusement park on this piece of land. What are pros and cons? So we unpacked what a pro is and we unpacked what a con is. And I don't use baby language. I'm going to teach them the vocabulary. I think vocabulary development is extremely important. They came up with more cons than pros. Yeah, it's so cute. They're like, oh, we're not going to have any more trees, and trees give us oxygen. So, you know, for me, I'm like, life systems. You know, in my head, I'm pulling in all these connections. So then their task was to actually create a run for an amusement park that had simple machines on it. So they created a blueprint. There was the planning process. It wasn't just go build. They had to create a blueprint. They had to list the simple machines that were going to be found on their ride, as well as materials that they needed.
So it's not just the kids making connections. It's us making connections to what they are saying.
Exactly.
And what we can do with what they're saying.
Exactly.
I think that's important,
Yeah.
right?
And although this is maybe science focused, I have seen so many learning skills in this. Helping each other out, collaboration when someone's stuck.
Yeah.
What language are they using with each other? Like, I think it was one of them before the break said, what did she say, Isha? She's like, don't underestimate yourself.
Don't underestimate.
And the other student who was trying to help your student who was getting frustrated, he was going, no, don't say it can't be done. Ask yourself, why can't it be done? Like, it was so cool.
But it's so nice for me to hear that as their teacher because this is the language I'm using with them, and it's so nice to hear that they're using it with each other now. So yeah, so I mean, inquiry-based learning might sound daunting, and it was a bit scary. But for me, the biggest takeaway of it was the fostering independence. You have to learn how to work independently.
Yeah.
And let it go.
I think for me it was letting go. For me it was, and I think sometimes we don't let go because it's easier to not let go, like drive the instruction. That's way easier, I know that, than just let go. But once you do, the rewards are amazing. Yeah.
And I'm not saying that I'm an amazing inquiry-based teacher or this is the perfect inquiry-based classroom, but I'm still in a journey, right? Myself, and every year or every month, whatever time period, I'm just trying a bit more. So to have those expectations on yourself to just be able to do something right away, it's hard, it's unrealistic, but even making baby steps to be more inquiry-based, it counts. It counts.